Happy Tuesday morning, everybody. It's time for reflection and projection. Reflection and projection is morning manna. Tuesday morning. It's the second day in this whole week that we're dealing with how do I reflect and project? What would I tell my young self? Now that I've got some age on me, now that I got some wisdom on me, now that I got some experience on me, now that I've been through a couple, three things in life, what advice would I give my younger self? Now, yesterday we had the scripture of Psalms 37:25. I'm going to read it in a minute, but you always know it's the text, the talk, and the takeaway. 5 minutes or less, I'm going to give you a nugget, a gem that you can live by, apply to your life today. And this week, we're talking about reflection and projection, and particular, we're going to drill down today, this morning, on relationships. Relationships. What would you tell your younger self right now? What would you tell that teenager right now? What would you tell that early 20s right now? What would you tell that 30 something, that 40 something, that 50 something, whatever the case may be? Just go back in time and say, what advice would you give them? Now, the way it's going to work is that when you share that, you're going to share it with everybody so everybody can get that advice and make application to their lives. That's what we're doing all week long. We're giving advice to our younger selves, and it's always the text, the talk, and the takeaway. The text this morning is Psalms 37:25. Adding a little bit to that, we're going to go also to Malachi 2:14. Psalms 37:25, David talking to himself, having reflection. He says, I have been young, and now I'm old. Malachi 2:14 says, forsake not the wife of your youth. That's where we get the relationship piece in. Where do we get that? What kind of advice would we give ourselves, our younger selves? 3 things I want you to really tell us the advice you would give your younger self. Put it in the chat area so everybody can get that advice. The 3 things based upon relationships out of the text that we just read is this. What would you tell yourself concerning forgiveness? What would you tell yourself concerning forgiveness? The younger you, the 10-year younger you, the 20-year younger you, the 15-year, the 5-year younger you. What would you tell your younger self with respect to forgiveness? Put it in the chat area so everybody can get that advice. The second thing is this. What would you tell your younger self about the future with respect to relationships? When it comes to relationships, what would you tell your younger self about future when it comes down to looking into relationships? Put it in the chat area so everybody can get this advice. The third thing is this. What would you tell your younger self with respect to relationships about faults? Scripture says that love covers a multitude of faults, a multitude of mistakes, a multitude of errors. What would you tell your younger self with respect to that? Now, put those things in the chat area because we want not only your younger self to get that advice, we want everybody to get that advice because this week, as I said, is all about reflection and projection. What's the takeaway this morning? The takeaway this morning is this. Listen well. Put it in the chat area. How well do you wear relationships? Like old clothes to throw away, or like a great find in a thrift store to keep? How well do you wear relationships? Like old clothes to throw away, or like a great find in a thrift store that you're so proud of and that you're going to keep? The Lord be with you today. May His face shine upon you, give you peace. Remember, this week is all about reflection and projection, 5 minutes or less, and we want to then share the wisdom you've gained to your younger self. And oh, by the way, we're going to eavesdrop in that. God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow morning with more Morning Manna. Share the manna. Don't keep it to yourself. Bye now.